At this time, we have a spotlight interview. We are turning now to Rick Perry, who previously served as Secretary of Energy and the Governor of Texas, and Pennsylvania author and reporter with the Washington Examiner, columnist Selena Zito, has a new book out called Butler. Please welcome Rick Perry and Selena Zito.
Did you introduce us? Oh, okay. Go? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Selena Zito. I am a home girl. I'm from Pittsburgh. So I'm officially considered a Yinzer, if you've not heard of that, right? Is there any Yinzers in the room? As someone that's been around for a very long time, this is really, really exciting for our region. As a reporter, I have spent too much time talking about decline, and to have all these components come together with technology, energy, and the amazing workforce that we have here, it's just really exciting to see my state like this. This is Governor Perry. Governor Perry and I first met on an airplane. Is that right, sir?
A very little airplane.
A very tiny little airplane. This was 18 years ago, and he had me, I went down there to cover the border. This was 2006. And he said, okay, you want to cover the border? He put me on a teeny tiny little airplane and then embedded me with the Border Patrol. And it was a really eye-opening experience, and I was terrified, and thank you.
It was we were doing border security in Texas, and before it was cool.
Yeah.
Before anybody was paying attention to it, and I don't have any idea how you picked us up out of the blue and came down, and we've been
I'm just like that.
friends working on 2 decades now, so it's my great privilege. And she's tried to make a Steelers fan out of me from time to time, but I'm not a Pennsylvanian by any sense of the imagination, but we've got roots, and the roots with the oil and gas industry in particular, back to Texas and what have you, and the Marcellus and all the different projects that are out there. And I know we're going to talk about this, but this state has some extraordinary opportunities to take the lead in this AI-driven data center world. And I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, but I don't want to take too much of that now. So back to you, Selena.
Let's talk a little bit about Fermi. Am I saying that correctly? So Fermi has developed the top data center in the country. Is that correct? And it's a nuclear and natural gas powered data center. And what does that mean? Like, what does that concept mean for the development and innovation in this industry?
So I'm a big believer that competition makes you better. Ruth, I know that you don't have any competition with Google, but there are some of those out there that would think that they are your competitor. But what they do every day is make you better. It's uncomfortable, whether it's getting in shape and your muscles ache and what have you, but competition is what drives America to be the greatest nation in the world. And our goal with Fermi America is to build the largest AI-driven data center in the world. Now, I'm totally biased. Let's get that out on the record. Texas boy saying that we're going to do, when President Trump asked me to come be the Secretary of Energy back in 2016, the end of 2016, it was a pretty short conversation. And he said, Perry, here's what I want you to do. He said, I want you to go do for American energy what you've done for Texas. And I was kind of like, man, I saluted. I knew exactly what Donald Trump wanted to see done at the Department of Energy. And we focused on that. We became energy independent during that period of time. And what Chris Wright and Secretary Burgum are doing now is taking it to the next level. But the point is, having the largest data center in the world is exactly what Donald Trump wants to see happen in the United States. Where it happens, I'm going to say he's a bit agnostic about that, so it's going to be this competition. Is it going to be Pennsylvania? Is it going to be Texas? I don't know, but let's go. Let's put it on the table. Get out of the way, government. Let us show you how to do what we can do. And I'm going to preface this back to, this is like the early 1940s. And we found ourselves in a real bind in this country with the Nazis about to find potentially a weapon of mass destruction that would completely change the world and completely change the governance of the world. But a president of the United States and the scientific people and the leaders of industry came together with the Manhattan Project, and we were able to literally, on a piece of dirt in the western part, the eastern side of Washington State in the Columbia River Basin, to go from a flat piece of dirt to literally producing plutonium in 11 months. That's what we can do. And that's what Fermi America is all about, is building the largest data center in the world. And listen, again, I'm biased. This is the perfect site. It's next door to Pantex, which is the historic old Department of Energy facility where we've been dealing with explosive materials and then with nuclear materials. The community is completely comfortable with nuclear materials. They know they can be handled safe. It's a place where you pick up the phone and say, hey, we're going to build some small modular reactors or some micro reactors out here. The people in Amarillo say, when are you going to get started? That's the type of community. They've got the workforce there. They've got sitting on top of the second largest aquifer in the United States, the Ogallala, the largest gas field in the United States, the Permian Basin and the Delaware Basin. It's got a major digital line that goes right through the western side of it. It's 3 miles away from Amarillo International Airport, which is an alternative site for the space shuttle. The interstate highway runs on the southern border, as does the rail line. There's a 24-inch Okla gas line and a 24-inch Energy Transfer gas line. It is the perfect site in the world, I will suggest to you, to build the largest data center
I might
in the
disagree.
world. So, Pennsylvania, you got your work cut out for you. There's your competition. Sick 'em.
When you left your job as the Secretary of Energy, you said it was the coolest job in the world. What are you most proud of accomplishing? And what has been the most enduring, right? What still holds true to today that you accomplished as Secretary of Energy?
Well,
and do not mention Texas again. Home girl, sorry.
the president's charge of go do for our country what you did for Texas, and this not about me at all. This is about the men and women at the Department of Energy in those 17 national labs, which are incredible jewels that we own, that perform for us.
I interviewed you at one. I interviewed you at one of those labs.
Indeed. I mean, stunningly, we're so blessed in this country to have those national labs and to do the things that they do. But the thing that I'm most proud of is that we showed the world that with a leader and with the message from that leader that we're going to make America energy independent, and we did it. And that's my point with this data center. When the president says, I want to lead the world in AI-driven data center, because he understands the war that we're in, and our war with the communist Chinese. That's what this is all about. Don't get confused. This is about the future of the world, and America can do this. And I'm really proud of what we were able to do during that period of time. But with Chris Wright, with Governor Burgum, with the leadership that Donald Trump has put together, Dina, your husband is part of a Senate that understands the importance of us winning this war. And yes, it was important for us to make these inroads on energy independence. But he wants to see that now, particularly in the nuclear side of things. And with David Wright over at the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, people who understand the vision that Donald Trump has to implement that, I will suggest to you, you've got leadership in the House and the Senate that understands that. Here's our moment in time. If we could go from nothing in eastern Washington state in 1942 or thereabouts to developing, producing plutonium, we can build the AI-driven data centers that allow America to win this war. And that is going to be, I think, one of the great legacies of the Trump administration.
Well, I think it's really exciting to see this as such a bipartisan effort in our state. We have Senator McCormick, Senator Fetterman, Governor Josh Shapiro, you have and President Trump all on board to help Pennsylvania be the leader in AI dominance. He says we don't get to participate in the war. We win the war.
Yeah, and this is not this isn't a partisan issue. We can quibble about various and sundry things, but I hope to get to see Governor Shapiro while I'm here, and just number one, say thank you for letting me come in your state, but more importantly, to share with him, as I've done with numerous governors through the years. They asked me, how was Texas successful? How were you able to, lead the nation? Matter of fact, I think CNBC came out with a poll, and Texas is #2 job creator, and it's been there in the top 2 or 3 for the last decade plus. But the point is, how do you do that? And it's not rocket science. And this is what I mean, Gavin Newsom came to see me when he was lieutenant governor, trying to have a conversation about how are you getting all of our businesses out of California to come to Texas? And I told him, I said, listen, he was the light governor then. And I told him, I said, Governor, this isn't rocket science. I said, this is really pretty easy. Don't overtax, don't overregulate, don't overlitigate, and have a skilled workforce, which basically transfers into accountable public schools. Those are the 4 things. I said, then get out of the way. Now, I'm thinking Gavin wasn't listening that good, but just kidding.
No, you're not. You're not kidding.
But my point is, Governor Shapiro understands that. In this state, for it to be competitive, have a tax structure that sends the message to the job creators that you can risk your capital and have a chance to keep more of what you work for. Don't overregulate them. Have government understanding that regulations is a form of taxation if you overregulate. And obviously the litigation side of it, and have good tort reform in place where people know that they're not going to be sued frivolously. And then fourthly, and this is this one can get to be contentious, but the fact is having accountable public schools. That's your workforce. And I know Mike Rowe is here, and Mike's probably going to speak or be exposed here to some of you. But I think Mike Rowe and Mike Rowe's vision is one of the most important ones for this country, and the reason is this. There's 2 limiting factors on these AI-driven data centers. One's obviously the energy, and we've talked about that and how we develop that energy. The second one is the trades. Having the men and women who understand how to build these data centers, having the plumbers, the electricians, the welders, the construction engineers that are out there, and you get more of what you incentivize, all right? I think we can all agree on that. And so if we incentivize in high schools the trades, literally, my recommendation to Governor Shapiro is, have your legislature focused on how to incentivize creating the trades in high school so that they're out of high school with a sellable trade. In a lot of cases, a welder in the state of Texas make $120,000, $150,000 a year.
Same here.
And you didn't go to college and spend your time getting taught how to be woke, and you don't have a college debt. That makes a lot of sense to me for a host of young people. So I think it's important for governors. We're the laboratories of innovation. And these states competing against each other. And one of the reasons I wanted to come, Selena, other than just seeing you, was to be and share a story with the people of Pennsylvania that you've been gifted these extraordinary resources. Part of those resources are the intellectual value that come out of universities like Carnegie Mellon, out of your high schools and creating the workforce. But that Pennsylvania can be absolutely at the forefront of this revolution, this dynamic that we may not have seen in our lifetimes. I mean, it has the potential to be that powerful, but here's the most important part. This is for the future of mankind. What's the philosophy that's going to drive the world? I will suggest to you it will be America. It will be Donald Trump and his vision for this country and for the world. And it will be driven by who wins the AI-driven data center race.
Absolutely true. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
Governor Perry. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.